So I have a lot of things to discuss in today's video. I met Demetrious Johnson in person. He was in London and said, let's meet up. So we did an in real life, in-person collaboration. I ended up speaking to him for about 4 hours, 3 hours of which were recorded. So that's going to be coming out as content on his channel, I believe next week, or at least in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to talk about how the experience was of meeting Demetrious Johnson in person. And I'm also going to go through some other MMA news in this video, which is that Whittaker versus Derrida is in the works. We don't know when and where it's going to happen, but I could come up with some ideas. But Whittaker versus Derrida, Derrida's getting right back in there. This is the fight that's being discussed. And I'm actually surprised by this matchmaking because in hindsight, this means that if Bo Nickel would have won, he would have been the one being matched up against Whittaker next. Who knows? Maybe they would have gone with a different approach. But this is a big matchup for both of these guys. Dangerous for Whittaker, great for Derrida. And we've also got another matchup, which is Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen, which is an amazing matchup that's now going to be added to the UFC 318 card in New Orleans. And we've also got Cody Garbrandt back against Barcelos. So we got a lot to discuss. I'm going to start straight away with meeting Demetrious Johnson in person. I saw him in London. The GOAT. Mighty Mouse. And he's a great guy. I shook his hand. He's an amazing guy. He really is. Absolutely an amazing guy. I wouldn't love to fight him. I really wouldn't. It was a weird one. Demetrious Johnson, dude. We spoke a lot. We've done collaborations before. And I met up with him and he answered the door. He said, holy shit, you're huge. And my first words to Demetrious Johnson weren't the best. I think I said, what's up, DJ? Can I use your toilet? Legitimately the first words I said to Demetrious Johnson. What's up, DJ? I said hello to his friend that was there as well, that works with him, that I know and I've spoken to from doing the podcast with DJ. And, yeah, immediately my first words were, what's up, DJ? Can I use your toilet? I'm desperate for a piss. Those are my words. And then I went about my business and re-entered the social scene to meet Demetrious Johnson. And we got straight to it, dude, talking all things MMA, all things my channel, what he's been doing on YouTube. Immediately, I bring up the death sentence saga that's been going off with him doing a training arc with death sentence and going in on all of that. And there's been some reaction to my picture with Demetrious Johnson. This one's got 16K likes, 700 and something thousand views. And a lot of people have had some things to say. Some people are impressed. But immediately, I'm going to have to put some rumors to rest. Okay? Because we move on to this one of me sort of tensing next to Demetrious Johnson, and quite a few people are saying that my right arm is way bigger than my left. Okay? Nothing's good enough for these people. Nothing is good enough. Okay? If I take away one insult, they just move on to another one. It's honestly quite pathetic. But there you go. My right arm is apparently way larger than my left. It's not! I'm going to give some breakdown here, and maybe we can call this cope. But who knows? My right arm is in front of my left. By quite some margin. I don't know why I posed like this. It was very awkward. I wasn't expecting pictures like this. Okay? But a photography session broke out. And I started flexing like a kangaroo. I hit a Nate Diaz pose. And for whatever reason, my right hand very clearly is in front of the left one. Therefore, perspective will come into play. Now, it might be above the left arm size by an inch or so. But this isn't my gooning arm, which is what now is being said. Guru's gooning arm. And they've got the Glenn Quagmire meme of him re-emerging from his house, distraught after a months of gooning. And all of a sudden, his right arm's way larger than his left. That's not the case. Okay? It's normal. But it was great to meet Demetrious Johnson. I just wanted to put that first bit to rest. It was great meeting Demetrious Johnson. He's a cool dude. He really is. We spoke for ages. Long podcast. I think the podcast was about 3 hours long, if I'm not mistaken. And we spoke for like half an hour before and then half an hour afterwards, maybe 40 minutes afterwards. And you know what? With this collaboration, when I met DDP, I didn't remember pretty much any of it. It was a blur, okay? It really was a blur. Not because DDP spiked me or anything like that, but it really was a blur meeting DDP because I had just got off of a flight to South Africa. I didn't sleep while I was there for the first few days. I couldn't sleep whatsoever. It was all a massive stress once I got there, figuring out where I was staying and all of that. So I just sort of went through the process. And before I knew it, my time of meeting DDP was over. And I didn't even take it in. You know what I mean? I didn't even give myself a moment to just be present and understand that I'm talking to Dricus du Plessis right now. So I kind of just sort of blurred through the entire thing. But this time, it was strange because I don't get out much, okay? And I don't talk to many people. I don't go out and hang out with someone. That's just not something that I do. I don't have friends, okay? So this was like the first person I'd spoken to outside of my family in about a year and a half. You know? And that's weird. Like the longest conversations I've had over the past 2 years, amongst the top 10 longest conversations, one of them has been with Dricus du Plessis and the other one's been with Demetrious Johnson. In person. I'm an MMA fan. So it was crazy for me. But it was really cool to do. Really cool to meet DJ. And, yeah, I actually took it in this time. There was half an hour after we were done recording the podcast and getting pictures taken and all of this. I was like, I was in his kitchen of this place he was staying at. Don't that I was in Demetrious Johnson's kitchen. Don't start with that, okay? But I was in his kitchen with Demetrious Johnson and his wife was cooking and his family's there. And I realized while I was there, I was like, I'm talking to Demetrious Johnson right now and his family's around and there's stuff on the go. There's food on the go. And I'm talking to Demetrious Johnson. And I'm talking to Demetrious Johnson at one point. I caught myself in the middle of what was going on. And this was the moment where it hit home as an MMA fan of what was actually happening. We're talking about the biz, the MMA YouTube thing, what I've got going on, what he sees in my future MMA YouTube. And we're talking all sorts. And all of a sudden, I'm talking to Demetrious Johnson about, do you know who Lucas Tracy and Bedtime MMA are on YouTube? Do you know MMA Che? Have you heard of MMA Che on YouTube? And I'm talking about all of these guys. I'm like, well, he's like, what, are they as big? I was like, no, they're kind of like this secondary tier of MMA YouTube that goes around. You should check out these guys as well. They do some stuff. And then he was looking up Lucas Tracy. What is it, Lucas Tracy MMA? And he starts looking up and he says, oh, I've seen one of this guy's things. And all of a sudden I realized in that moment, what the actual fuck has my life become? MMA fan to now, I'm hanging out with DJ. I'm in DJ's makeshift kitchen of his place that he's staying at in London. And I'm going to fart because I'm flustered thinking about this. And now I'm talking to DJ about other MMA YouTubers and what they've got going on. And I'm like, no, you've got to know Lucas Tracy. You don't know Big Meaty Hooks and Crafty Vet. You don't know about these things. You got to look him up. Trust me, you got to look him up. And it hits me in that moment like, what has my life become? What has my life become? So yeah, crazy to meet DJ. We talked about all sorts. I got into a lot on the podcast. I'm just going to give a bit of a warning. We discussed a lot. I'm socially awkward. The first time I'm speaking for a while and I'm plonked in a podcast in real life setting with Mighty Mouse. It's strange, but I think I did pretty good. At one moment, he asked me about my life and my origin story. And if I lie, it's obvious. And my truth is very depressing when I say it out loud. Like, I don't go out, actually. Oh, really? You don't go out? No, I don't really do anything, to be honest with you. That's what do you... Oh, I don't really have any friends, really. And when I started, I just, I had nothing going for me in life. And I just kind of needed this, and I hated everything about my life. And I realized while I was speaking, like, oh my God, the truth is very sad. Maybe I should lie and act like, but then everyone would know I'm lying. So, yeah. But it was a really good podcast. I thought I did pretty good. We spoke for ages. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. We're going to be doing like a monthly recap of a show. I've already mentioned that a bunch of times on the channel in videos and on live streams. But I think we're going to be doing a monthly recap of the pay-per-views moving forward. We'll see. I think there'll be some kind of official announcement on this podcast. But it was really cool to meet DJ. He's great. And he's doing very well on YouTube as well right now. Post-MMA career. I think he's probably one of the better fighters post-MMA career to be doing stuff on YouTube. Some people are saying I'm not fat. Okay? And I need to put some things straight. I am still, I mean, I may have some bulk on me at this point, but I am still, I've got ways to go. Don't let me off the hook yet. Keep calling me fat. My video cut out for a second, but don't let me off the hook. I've still got some ways to go in terms of my journey. Of course, at one point on the channel, I was about 305 pounds. Now I'm about 250. Not quite the 260 enough to take on DJ in a fight, Bradley Martin? So I wasn't feeling too confident with my abilities to defend myself against DJ. Need another 10 pounds for that to happen. But I've been doing all right, I've got a little bit more to go, though, and that's what I guess I'll show you here. Because, hey, I'm not afraid to show it. DJ's sure not afraid to post this one on his community tab either. There's a glimpse of belly. I don't have a shredded 8-pack, guys. Don't go misconstruing this as like, oh, because Guru's not morbidly obese, then all of a sudden he's not fat. I've got another, I'm trying to get the abs. That's the final frontier. That's the final journey of this all. It's not hanging over my belt line by any means. But when the photographer's on his knees, Michael, shout out to Michael doing the photography here, getting a nice shot from an up angle, okay? Then all of a sudden we catch a glimpse, okay? It's not too shabby though, I don't think. Welcome to the gun show. I've been putting in some level of work. I think it's time to start taking the gym seriously, and my training arc will begin. This is where it starts. You do things like this, you collaborate in person, all of a sudden, when John Jones, Tom Aspinall gets announced, I'm in Tom Aspinall's training camp. Now that's content. Now that's where the training arc begins. I'm going to be in America in the summer. I'm going to go fishing with Bryce. So there'll be some more IRL stuff on the channel this year to look out for. But that's all I'll say about this. You know what I'm saying? I'm a pretty big dude, by the way. I don't know if anyone's aware of that, but I'm a real fucking heavyweight, okay? I'm big for heavyweight, I tell you. I asked Demetrious. I said, you met Tom? Was it here? He went, no, somewhere else. And I was like, how am I matching up compared to Big Tom? And he said, you know what? About the same. So, hey, you heard it here first. Me and Tom Aspinall, spitting image, okay? Dead on. And Cameron Simon said it as well when I was in South Africa. He said he's like Tom Aspinall with a beard. And I tell you, I'm there. I'm a real heavyweight, dude. Don't make me go on my run. Give me 2 years of training and let me try out my chances against Big Tybura. And we'll see, Maybe that will happen. I highly doubt it, dude. I ain't got the fucking cojones for that at all. I'd rather just yap about the sport online, to be honest with you. But there you go. I thought I'd cover this because it's a big moment. And surely I should do a video regarding it. But there'll be some more. There's a ton of recorded conversation between us that's going to be coming out on his channel, Mighty Mouse, on YouTube, which is a very big channel right now, dude. He's been doing some crazy content. Great content. Crazy good content. Anyways, moving on to other news. We've got Whittaker versus Derrida. Awesome matchup. Wicked matchup. I think this is the end for Whittaker, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm worried for him. We don't know when this is going to be, and I have some recommendations before I even get into what I think about the matchup, which I've already said. I have some recommendations. I reckon this shouldn't be on the pay-per-view in July. Whittaker says that he would like this to be in July. Whittaker's eyeing a return in July. He said he wanted late June, but the UFC is really fluid at the moment. They threw a few names at me. I said yes to every one of them. I wanted to fight Strickland because I thought it made sense. He didn't get the Strickland fight is what we're hearing. I think they're going to do Adesanya Strickland too. That's the rumors I'm hearing. And in my opinion, I would put Adesanya versus Strickland 2 on that July pay-per-view card. I don't think it'll be ready for International Fight Week because of Strickland's broken nose. But I would put Adesanya Strickland 2 maybe on that July pay-per-view. Maybe save it for an August pay-per-view. Who knows what they're going to do. But I know they're going to make that. They're going to give Adesanya the chance to get right back in there and maybe get a title shot with a win. You know what they do with Adesanya. It is what it is. He's the golden child of the middleweight division, so they're going to give him that opportunity. I'd like the fresh matchup of Strickland versus Whittaker too. So I guess this also might mean an Imavov versus Baralho matchup is coming for a title shot, which is fair in a way. But yeah, we're looking like we're getting Whittaker versus Reina Dorita. That's in the works. Reina Dorita's getting right back in there. And I don't think this should be on pay-per-view, and I'll tell you why. I think the pay-per-view should be saved for people that are going to make some noise on fight week. Now, Reina Dorita and Whittaker's a sick matchup. It's an amazing matchup, and it'd look good on a card. This one's going to be headlined by Holloway versus Poirier 3. But I think we should bring back, I don't know about you guys, I think we should bring back great fight night main events. I think this needs its standalone card where it gets its entire spotlight from it. Because if this just goes on a pay-per-view, it will be overshadowed. They're not going to have shit talk. They're not going to go back and forth in the build-up. There's not going to be any heated drama. Speaking of heated drama for that July card, though, we've got matchups like Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen going on there, where there's real heat. Brendan Allen's, of course, from Louisiana, in New Orleans. So, you know, there's going to be some heat there, and they fought each other in a hotel lobby, where they got into a scrap. Brendan Allen threw a couple punches at Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori ate them like his mama's spaghetti. As he always does, you can't put this guy down with a punch. Impossible. You can't put him down with anything, it seems. So Marvin and Brendan Allen are definitely going to be going back and forth, but that's what you should save this card for. We've also got Cody Garbrandt versus Raoni Barcelos. This is at UFC Atlanta in June. I think this is a good addition to that card. Doesn't need much more help now, that card. But in terms of what I would add to the July pay-per-view, I'd be trying to get Gene Silver back on there, you know? Get Gene Silver on there versus a Lerone Murphy versus a top contender. Get another big matchup going on in the lightweight division, if you can make it. Like an Armand Sarukian versus someone, or an Armand Sarukian Dan Hooker. They're going to go back and forth, you know? They have a bit of beef. Save that pay-per-view for some beef, because you don't want to be... I mean, you could easily put Whittaker versus Dorita. I'm not hell-bent on getting it off the pay-per-view, but I just think I'd love when the fight nights are like, damn, this is a big fight week. It's Whittaker-Dorita fight week. When I see fight night main events like Blanchfield versus Barber, which is coming up soon, or I see a fight night main event like some of the ones that we've had this year, even Sandhagen-Figueiredo, it's a big fight, but it's like, it's not Sandhagen-Figueiredo fight week. This would be a Whittaker-Dorita fight week. It's Whittaker-RDR fight week. And I reckon, they've got a UFC Fight Night Nashville before the July pay-per-view. They've got a UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi after the July pay-per-view, and Umar's not going to be ready for it, and Ankalaev's not going to be on that card. So this can headline any of those two. And I think that's what it should do as well. So, yeah, I reckon Reina Dorita wins, though, man. Whittaker's had a lot of fights, and you know what it is about Whittaker? I've always thought he's quite finishable, especially against physicality. And although I doubted Dorita, I shouldn't have done. I got caught up, you know what I mean? I got in my own head about the matchup with Bo. But yeah, I'm going to go with Reina Dorita, man. I hope Whittaker wins. I really do, but I think I'm going to have to go with Reina Dorita. He looks really good. And I feel like it's almost destiny for us to see a Reina Dorita versus Dricus du Plessis matchup. You know what I mean? Where they're going back and forth in a puff of smoke, and one time it stops, the cloud of smoke disappears, and DDP's turned him into some kind of balloon animal, and then a piano falls on DDP's head, and then Dorita slips over after going after DDP for a finish and steps on a rake that springs up and hits him in the face, and then a giant fucking anvil comes down, and then some people are even saying Dricus du Plessis should paint like a tunnel into the no aerial. But he should paint like a tunnel into the side of the cage that Derrida might try and run through and then end up running into, like Shamil Gaziev against Rosenstruik. So, you know, things could go crazy in that fight. So maybe we are destined to see an RDR versus a DDP. But that's a sick matchup. And I love this matchup, and I hope it does get made. And that would leave us Baralho Mavov and also Adesanya Strickland too, which isn't bad matchmaking for the rest of the division. It would also leave us Jared Cannonier versus Anthony Hernandez, which is also not bad matchmaking. So, fuck Roman Dolidze, I guess. We move on. We got this. Great matchup. Beef on the line. I reckon Brendan Allen. I don't know, man. Marvin's not adding things to his game, and he hasn't done for years. I think Brendan Allen is adding stuff to his game, and although he does make dumb decisions, he mixes things up. He throws head kicks. He throws dynamic techniques. He'll go for an elbow. So I could see Brendan Allen winning this one, to be honest with you. I think his grappling might seal it. Even though Marvin's got really good counter grappling. I don't know. I just think Brendan's more versatile, man. He's got more options, more finishing potential, of course, as well. Marvin's finishing potential always seems to let him down. So, I'd lean towards Brendan Allen, but this could be an interesting one. Plus, Marvin's going through a lot. I don't want to get into it, but he's going through a lot right now, if you know. And for this one, I'm going to go with Raoni Barcelos. A while ago, I probably would have picked Garbrandt with no question, but Garbrandt just feels like he's got no presence in the octagon anymore. You know, he's got no intimidation factor. He can't establish anything. Everything's to do with what the opponent's doing. And Raoni Barcelos just looked amazing against Peyton Tabit, who, you know, maybe not on Garbrandt's level, but I feel like him and Tabit were kind of meeting, where Garbrandt's falling off a bit and Tabit was coming up, but actually pretty winnable for Garbrandt. The more I think about the matchup, pretty winnable for Garbrandt, but the calf kicks of Barcelos, I mean, Garbrandt just pulled out with yet another injury in his last fight. Like, how many more injuries is Garbrandt going to be able to come through and still get in there and perform well? I don't know, man. Barcelos grapples a lot. He'll shoot a lot of takedowns here. I know Garbrandt's got good counter grappling, but it's tricky, man. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. See you later. Goodbye. And I met DJ. And he's cool. And I'm tall. I'm very tall. See you later. Goodbye.